What's going on, guys? This is Remy with Level 1 News, and I'm here to talk about Sony's E3 2017 press conference. Now, I'm not going to run through everything. I'll kind of just do a quick skim, but I wanted to talk about the overall presentation and where they sort of lie with everyone else in standing. So, they did a couple of game reveals, and they had their own trailers. Off the bat, I will tell you, they didn't really show anything new. They showed some new game trailers that were third party, and those are pretty much game reveals. Those they have some exclusive content for and stuff, and that's pretty much why they showed it. Some they don't. They just, it's the stage for them, so that's what they did. They did a whole trailer and action scenes with Uncharted, The Lost Legacy, and now we're starting to see that that's a little bit more than just like a DLC or expansion. That's a full-fledged game, like a full-fledged spin-off. So game looks great, as Uncharted would, and everything, like the game mechanics and stuff, look good. So that is looking to release soon, but not soon enough. Then they talked about Horizon Zero Dawn, and they showed off a little bit of new footage, and that you could pretty much guess was DLC. So they went on to the newest DLC of Horizon Zero Dawn, which will be coming out in fall. That looks good. The game is a success. Great game. That's a game that they showed off last year, and funny enough, it's a game that was released, which sometimes it's hard to do with some of these companies. Then they did a whole Destiny thing, showed off some gameplay, obviously talked about the fact that they have exclusive content. Because like anyone else, Sony has like really exclusive stuff for Destiny, which lasts about a year or so. You can feel one way or another about it, but that's just sort of the way they made the deal, and it works for them, and that's what they showed off. So Destiny 2 is coming out in fall, and they showed a decent amount of footage for that. They also showed God of War. So God of War, which is God of War 4 really, his sort of adventure with his son and how that works. Now, God of War 3 was one of the best looking games I know to be on the PS3. God of War 4 shaping up to do just that same way. Game looks beautiful, more beautiful than I've seen other games do, and that's just the tremendous amount of effort that the studios put in to things that have to do with Sony. So PS3, PS4, etc. So game looks like a hit. That doesn't come out this year. I didn't know if it was going to or not, but more with the latter. So basically we're going to have to wait until 2018 for that one. Then they showed off a few other games. Quickly run through it. They revealed Call of Duty. And not really revealed. They showed off Call of Duty before in an Activision event, but they showed you more Call of Duty World War II. Looked pretty gripping. The game looks great, and it's gonna look great across multiple systems, but obviously PlayStation 4 Pro and Xbox One X will be the premier platforms that the game will look great on. So another interesting game that they actually showed off, and the only reason why I want to mention this is because of the weight of the game. So basically, they unveiled Monster Hunter World. So Monster Hunter World is a big game that is usually involving Nintendo and or PlayStation. And to my surprise, they showed off the whole trailer. It's supposed to be a very online experience for Monster Hunter, this new game, but it's also coming out for Xbox One. This is very interesting since this would be, I not 100%, but I would imagine that this is the first Monster Hunter game to appear on Xbox One. Now, here's the funny thing with that, is that I feel like the weight of that is way more important than showing certain games that were shown at the actual Microsoft press conference. They could have easily swapped out a game that didn't need to be there, like Assassin's Creed Origin, really, and put in Monster Hunter, maybe for just a couple of minutes, but talked about how a game that never appeared on the platform is now on the platform and what they're trying to do with it. That would have raised a good amount of applause. They're trying to really get games onto the system that they didn't before, and that's big. I mean, obviously none of that happened, so we were left with the fact that Sony had it on their press conference. But I think that's just an interesting thing to note. Also, so Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite got its actual stage debut at Sony's E3 press conference. We know that's a multi-platform game, so nothing new there. They showed you a bit more of what's going on, like newer characters, Black Panther, thank God, and a few others. And what was really cool was at the end of the trailer, it said the story demo was out that day, which is really cool, being that you sometimes see it, but you see it now less of the fact that there are sort of like content that comes out while E3 is going on. I think that's a real good boost on different aspects of what people are viewing, and it kind of gives people an immersive feeling of being at sort of E3. So while people are sitting at home and they're not there, they could sort of experience a little bit. I remember things like Xbox 360 doing that with Lost Planet, and a few others. So Capcom it's not new to them. Other companies should really do more of this, but that's pretty cool. So you could download that now if you wanted to. And then one more game before the last game that I know that was shown. So they did a whole thing, and it looked like, like I was getting very surprised because I was seeing it look like Shadow Colossus, and it looked like a Shadow Colossus sequel. I was like, this looks amazing. I was like, we're getting a Shadow Colossus sequel. That looks great. Hell, that's a brand new game that's being shown on stage. To my surprise, it's not a sequel. It's a Shadow Colossus remake, which is funny because we already got an HD master of that thing. So they're pretty much trying to milk you twice for an HD remake, or a remake of sorts, instead of just coming out with a new game or teasing a new game. Odd choice. This goes back to the whole sense that Sony hasn't really believed in backwards compatibility with their system, yet they've been releasing the most amount of HD like remixes or remakes and or total remakes or whatever. It's not terrible if they're done correctly, but when you see more and more in them, it's like, are you trying to build your entire old library from scratch back to new, or what exactly is the deal? So it's a little weird of messaging to sort of have that now. I mean, the game still looks good, so I'd be willing to play it, but I would like to hear more information about it, so we'll see. Sony went in a whole segment, and their big 3 points was the fact that they have the PlayStation 4, they have the PlayStation 4 Pro, so obviously it has the ability to do 4K scaling, and then they have PlayStation VR. So obviously PlayStation VR came out last year, not too many games, and so they showed off a bit games here and there. I would say other than Skyrim and maybe another title, it didn't look too good in the court of like PlayStation VR. Nothing was really grasping me or interesting me. Nothing that had to do with like the way Resident Evil 7 has to do with VR and some slight more experiences back then. There's not too much going on with PlayStation VR, which is kind of hard to justify it, and I don't think they did a great job of really making it justifiable now, especially the fact that they showed like Final Fantasy 15. I was like, that looks like, oh snap, this is gonna be good, and it was like some fishing game. That's not what I want. I don't even know what that really was, but that's probably the least thing I would rather have played or seen in the whole press conference. Anyway, moving on. They showed a couple of those games, and like Skyrim looks like it's good. It's an old game though, but in VR, okay. Other than that, there's not really much to talk about with the VR stuff. Another game that they show now, instead of, I think it used to be called Too Human last year, Detroit, and now it's called Becoming Human. And so it looks like it has a whole new protagonist. The game is going to be leaving you with choices, and things to do, but it's like an all-out war between AI, artificial like people versus like actual human beings. And there's like a whole revolt, like a revolution and stuff starting with AI. So, you know, the game looks interesting. Much departure from what we saw last year, but I guess it's shaping up to be that kind of game. So not too, you know, not too crazy, except for the fact that the game did look good in terms of its animations and everything else. I don't know how it's going to be, you know, full-on action-wise. They showed you like a decision or two, but that really didn't show you that much. And again, that game comes out, I think, sometime next year. Another game that they showed was Days Gone. And Days Gone, they did a full-on gameplay like trailer for. So they, you know, they showed off the game, they played it. Game actually looks really good, much better than I actually thought it would be from last year. I thought it was a generic-looking zombie game last year, and everybody ate over it. But this looks pretty good. I will say that it looks similar to Horizon Zero Dawn, except that there's zombies in it. So I'm not sure if those studios just kind of work together on that aspect, but, you know, nonetheless, Horizon Zero Dawn's a good game. This looks like it's shaping up to be its own good game. So, I couldn't ask for more in that respect. And then last but not least, one of their biggest games that they wanted to talk about was and show off was the SpiderMan exclusive game that's coming out of Insomniac. Now, we saw a small teaser trailer last year, didn't show much, and then even with Sony's PlayStation 4 Pro event, they showed off the fact that it's going to have like 4K and HDR or whatever of sorts, which looked good. So they showed off a whole gameplay trailer for it. Man, this game looks good. Like, the game looks great. Mechanics, graphics, dialogue, and the action sequence. I feel like that game is a total package. This will probably be the best superhero game, other than like a Marvel vs. Capcom game, that exists to this day. Because that is the best looking Marvel, like superhero any type game, and especially a Spider-Man game. Everything was on point. Everything looked great. Just awesome stuff going on in the trailer. And that game, of course, not coming out this year. It's coming out next year. I'd say my biggest takeaway with Sony's press conference is that they didn't emphasize on, like, you know, different kind of things for the future in terms of maybe, I don't know, maybe new hardware or how they're trying to bring, you know, secure people on their platform. They pretty much went on stage, talked about the three things that they have: PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, and PlayStation VR, and showed you a ton of trailers for all of it, whether it was gameplay or CG. And that was pretty much their whole press conference. Now, compared to everybody else, they have the games. And that's the most important, is that, you know, for, you know, 1, 2, 3 years to come, they have the games. They have the games over their competitors. They are just killing it compared to Microsoft with their exclusives. It's just what it is. And, you know, that's where Microsoft needs to excel at, but they're not. So they have the games for that. But in terms of the press conference alone, not great. You know, obviously, you're just really sitting there seeing trailers all day, not really seeing a live demo, an explanation of a game, or anything else. Like, it just didn't feel like a very good experience to be there. Just, you were there like as a movie theater setting. And it was a pretty fast actual event. It was like an hour. They wanted to make it, you know, short and sweet and get to the point, which was the games. They did that, but at the same time, they didn't engage with the games. So I literally just saw a bunch of gameplay trailers and regular trailers, and you know, got up and you left, and you're like, well, that's it. That's the show. So, you know, and then I guess the third point is that I feel like Sony forgot that this year is a year for games. They tend to do that sometimes. They'll talk about things in the future and the fact that they have an entire library and exclusives going on. But sometimes you're like, well, when are these games coming out? And it doesn't look like any are really coming out this fall. They got a lot of like third-party support going on, but I mean, I don't really know what's going on with the first party. God of War comes out next year. Days Gone comes out next year. SpiderMan comes out next year. Possibly that Shadow of Colossus remake comes out next year. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing with PlayStation this year, but I guess I'm excited for next year. I mean, in one end, it's better than Microsoft because they talked about the future of their games versus Microsoft not having any future of their games. To be honest, like, you don't know. But then again, Microsoft at least had 3 IPs, and Sony really like has like 1 or something like of their own. So you know, they don't have a lot going on. You know, I think they're going off the fact that they have this large install base across everything that they have. They don't have to really worry that much or sweat it. They know that they're going to deliver the games that they're going to deliver, and I guess they'll deliver at the speed that they want to. It doesn't really affect them all that much with the crazy lead they have in console sales. So I guess that's something to note. But I would be worried about them just dropping the ball between when these games come out. You know, sometimes they'll come out in weird times, and then you just won't even realize that a game is released here or there. It's just what's good. It could happen. But hopefully, you know, we start to hear more things, you know, expansions otherwise, and then maybe even like some smaller games or bigger games that might be coming out closer to you know, the end of this year versus like next year or something. If not, you know, aside the third party, which if we wanted to go toe to toe, you know, the Xbox One X is more powerful, so I want to play it on a more powerful console. You know, I don't really know where I'm going to with PlayStation in terms of its exclusives. So there's that. So not a home run for Sony. Didn't need to be. You know, they delivered the games, which is more than other companies can say. But too bad they only really talked about the games that are coming out in the future instead of now. And they really didn't even talk. They didn't really like go through the games. They pretty much just showed me a trailer for it. And then there are games missing, like The Last of Us, which I'm sure they're gonna go through a Gamescom and stuff like that. But you know, that game's missing. Going to say Kingdom Hearts and stuff is missing, and then obviously Final Fantasy VII Remake is missing or whatever. And those things we're hearing are like years down the line. So a reveal like that came years ago, what is that worth now? Anyway, hope you guys like this video. Like the video, comment for sure, give us a debate on it, like the page, subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. This is Remy with Level 1 News, and I'll see you later.